afternoon all. Today I will today's topic discussion. Today's topic is Counseling Zero Discordant Couple and presenter is Miss Sivaranjani Kulkarni. She is currently working as Senior Vertical Manager, School of Vocational Education in Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. She is a professional in the field of counseling and HIV/AIDS. She has around 13 years of experience in development field. She has worked in Maharashtra State AIDS Control Society for approximately 6 years in various capacities. She is in Saksham, a national level project of social sciences funded by Global Fund. The aim of project was to enhance the capacities of HIV counselors. While working in this project, Ms. Kulkarni has contributed in development of various capacity building strategies and manuals for master trainers, supportive supervisors and counselors. She has also contributed in the development of integrated training manuals for HIV counselors, which were jointly developed by NACO and Saksham. We are gratitude have Ms. Sivaranjani for NDLS session. Now I request her to take over the session. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon all. Today we are going to discuss one important topic in counseling, serodiscordant couples. After completion of this session, we are going to describe the issues and concerns specific to serodiscordant couples. We also will be able to describe couple counseling skills in relation to serodiscordant couples and also explain options related to family planning and pregnancy open to serodiscordant couples. Now first let us see why to focus on serodiscordant couple under the National AIDS Control Program. As we all know, so far in NACP we were very much focusing on high risk groups, the MARPs, most at risk population. But in NACP 4 we have also started focusing on discordant couple. This is because serodiscordant couples also present a high risk of HIV transmission to non-infected partners. One estimate indicates that there could be a 10 to 20% annual rate of transmission in this particular group. Counselors under NACP report seeing more and more discordant couple, so the couple's needs must be responded by counselors. The intervention will definitely help to bring down the rate of infection among couples. We have the data that special intervention with the MARPs has helped to bring down the prevalence. In the same manner, we expect that the intervention with discordant couples will also decrease the prevalence in this particular population. Couple counseling enables both partners to work jointly so that they may overcome basic issues which affect their relationship, and also this helps their relationship and overall well-being to improve upon it. Now, who are serodiscordant couples? When one of the partners is infected by HIV and another partner is not infected, we call such couples as serodiscordant couple. And seroconcordant couples. When the serostatus is same for both partners can be positive or both can be negative. These couples are called seroconcordant couples. This diagram clearly shows the difference. Among serodiscordant couples, the male can be positive and female can be negative, and also vice versa. The male can be negative and female can be positive. Now, among seroconcordant couples, there can be positive concordance. That is, both partners can be positive, HIV positive. Also, negative concordance is there. That is, both partners are HIV negative. So, in this session, we are going to discuss about serodiscordant couples. Now let us discuss first the factors affecting the discordance. There are a lot of issues or there are a lot of factors because of which the couples become HIV, couples become positive because of one partner. The factors are divided into broadly two parts for the convenience of studies. When we consider the biological factors, we have gender, age and early debut of sex, viral load and the disease stage, STI and male circumcision. These are the factors which affects the concordance. And also among behavioral factors, we have sex, condom use, other sexual partners and marriage are some of the behavioral factors which affect the discordance. So let us see all these factors one by one. The first is gender. As healthcare professional, we all know there is more risk to women because of inbuilt biological vulnerability. Age and early sexual debut. In India, still early marriages are quite common. It happens quite a lot in many of the states. Also, adolescent girls and boys engage in sexual activities. So, the risk of HIV infection increases. Also, adolescent girls are more physiologically vulnerable. Another factor is viral load. The transmission increases when the viral load is high, especially during the window period. STI. STI increases the risk of transmission. In case of untreated STI, the infection is transformed from one partner to another partner. Male circumcision. It is male circumcision, it is the removal of the foreskin of the penis. Studies show that circumcised men have lesser risk of HIV infection as this reduces the surface area for contact with HIV. However, this practice is followed in some particular religions. So counselors are advised not to recommend circumcision to all the clients. This will be done by the clients by their own choice. Now let us see the behavioral factors. Sex. More often discordant couples have sex. If the frequency is quite high, the chances of getting infection also is high. Each sexual act carries a risk of HIV. So the counselor should counsel for safe sex practices. Counselor also needs to know the hierarchy of sexual behavior that is more risky. For example, counselor can explain that anal sex is more riskier than the oral sex. And so the counseling should be done for safer sexual practices. Condom use. Even though couples know the importance of condom and the protection condom provides, they still avoid using condom or still they don't want to use condoms. So counselor should recognize the possible reasons and encounter those reasons. Sex with other partners. Sex outside marriage and sex with more than one partner is quite frequent in our community. Condom may be used or may not be used in many of such relationships. Many a times women are used for having sex and many times they do not have any say in the sexual relationship and so they cannot insist for condoms. Use of alcohol also is one of the factor and this has been linked to sexual disinhibition and failure to practice safer sex. Marriage is also a risk factor because married couples are unlikely to adopt protective sexual behavior with their spouses and so they even don't use condoms many a times. So because of these reasons, the partner who is not infected has the potential risk of getting infection from the infected partner. Why people fail to use condoms? We really need to understand all these reasons and discuss these reasons with client because as we all know, condom is the only protective measure which the couple can take to save themselves from getting HIV infection. Denial of HIV. It has been found among both partners. Both partners try to deny the presence of HIV. Many a times they say that we have been having sex so far without condoms and HIV is not transmitted. So somehow they feel relaxed and they don't want to use condoms. Desire to get pregnancy is another reason for pregnant is another reason for not using the condom. Inability to maintain the erection. It is observed that in older men and also in the patients who are on ART, there is inability to maintain erection and therefore the men do not want to use condoms. AIDS fatigue is the another most important reason. Many a times patients lose concern about the reinfection. There is fatigue, and especially fatigue we found more in the people who are on ART. Also, when the sickness increases, people find the AIDS fatigue. People get tired because of taking care of themselves. Use of alcohol. This has been linked to sexual disinhibition. Sexual pleasure. Use of condom reduces sexual pleasure. This is one common complaint which many times men make. But a variety of condoms can be used, like condoms having dots, ribs, and flavored condoms, so that the pleasure with condoms can be increased. Relationship factors, marriage, sex with other partners. This also is a reason for not using condoms. Sometimes people feel sick and then they don't want to use condoms. Many a times clients say, because of frequent sickness, I feel very hopeless about my life, and so I feel not to use like a condom. Now, in all such issues, counselors play an important role in counseling. First, let us see the key issues of discordant partners. Testing partner, HIV testing of the partner. This is a challenge to bring the another partner for HIV testing. Though in the last few years the proportion has increased significantly, but still this is a challenge to bring the partner for HIV testing, and especially this challenge is observed for male partners. But as all counselors know, that this should be encouraged. Consequences of disclosure to partners. A counselor can deal with various emotional reactions during counseling. Before disclosure, counselor can identify some of the consequences of this act. For example, some of the consequences can be, some couples report fear of infection to negative partners. They also have the fear of stigma and discrimination. And also they express the loss of trust with the partner. Counselors are supposed to deal with all such reactions. Couples also play blame game. They blame each other for getting the HIV infection. Sometimes there can be interpersonal violence also. But in such situations, instead of keeping on the counseling, the counselor should find out community support network for the victimized partner. Also, every time everything is not negative. We also have found many negative partners who displayed support towards the positive partner. But in short, during couple counseling or in such situations, counselors is in a catch-22 situation. On the one hand, confidentiality should be maintained, and also on another hand, safeguard of the negative partner should be maintained. Now, disclosure to other persons. Here, I would like to say sorry, this is a typo mistake. This should be disclosure to other persons, and in the earlier section, this was a disclosure to partner. So, disclosure to other persons. This may also create tension in family. Family members put pressure on negative partners to leave the relationship, and this creates a lot of dilemma among the couple. Sexual intimacy. Usually, sexual intimacy is affected because of the HIV status. Counselor need to explore various reasons in detail and work on this aspect. Safe sex practices and condoms should be encouraged. ART adherence. Counselor should always encourage the ART adherence because ART reduces the viral load, which reduces the chances of transmission. Now, pregnancy. This is another key issue in discordant couples counseling. Many discordant couples want to have a child. There are many factors which influence a couple's desire to have children. It has been observed that couples accessing PPT City facilities feel more confident about their parenthood. Many a times the decision is based on family's support as well. If the family is supportive, then the decision of having a child is positive. And if the family is not supportive, many a times the decision is not that positive. Stigma of infertility is also a main reason to have children. Building and maintaining rapport. Before we start with the counseling, or before the actual key issues are handled in counseling, the counselor need to learn the technique or the art of building and maintaining rapport with the couples. There are 3 areas to focus during this counseling. Each member, that is the male and the female, should be counseled separately, and also the couple as a unit should be counseled. So there are 3 areas of focus. Counselor should provide adequate time for this each type of counseling. Counselor also need to understand the gender issues. For example, in our society, men do not express the feelings very easily. They find it not, they are not comfortable in expressing their emotion, especially if the counselor is a female counselor. And also many times women express their emotions, but sometimes women also do not express their emotions because they are suppressed. So counselor should understand the gender issues and try to open up the clients as much as possible. Counselor should demonstrate a balance and equal concern to each partner. Usually what we see that counselor have more sympathetic approach towards the partner who is HIV negative, and usually the counselor's behavior is not sympathetic or not empathetic for the partner who is not who is positive. But this should not happen. Counselors should demonstrate a balanced and equal concern and should adopt a neutral approach. Counselor should express respect for each individual as well as for their relationship. Just wanted to clarify a point here. Here I mean counselor, not only the counselor who is sitting at ICTC or ART, but I mean all the healthcare professionals who engage in this or that type of counseling. Now, as we discussed, there are 4 primary conversation areas in couple counseling. The conversation should happen between counselor and the couple. Conversation should happen between counselor and partner 1 as well as with partner 2, and also between the partners. Couple is a unit. So counselor, while discussing with couple, the counselor should focus on shared past. Because of some reason, both of them have got married. So obviously there was some shared things. There were some reasons for getting married. They might have liked each other. So there can be various reasons. So all these things should be discussed from past. Then present reality should be discussed. And also what are their future dreams? What are the common things they want to do in future? All these things also should be discussed. Also, a counselor can seek their joint view on these issues. Then a counselor also can observe the reactions, or counselor also can observe the pattern of behavior between the partners. This will give him or her the idea about the areas to work. Counselor should provide homework to couples to practice certain things outside the therapy room. For example, even if both of them are angry, they will not start fighting each other, but they will express their emotions in a constructive manner. Or instead of starting fighting immediately, they will first request or say the same things in an appropriate manner, or control certain emotions. So certain exercises like this can be given, and commitment from both partners should be taken for that. Counselor also should discuss the things with each partner. Each partner should get space to express his or her feelings. Counselor should encourage the silent partner to vocalize his or her wishes. This brings awareness about another person's needs. Now the couple counseling techniques. The very first important technique is normalize the feelings, reactions and experiences. We always observe the feelings of guilt, anger, betrayal, anxiety while counseling the couples. Tell couples or tell the partner who is experiencing those feelings that others also feel the same manner. It's natural. While doing so, you are showing the acceptance for their emotions. Effectively use silence while remaining calm and supportive. Creating a moment of silence may bring the emotions at manageable level. Silence can prompt them up to open up. So you can say, let us pause a bit. And then after some time, you can again start with the conversation. Focus on the present and the future. Couple recall past deeds and hurts. They are indulging in the past things. What happened, what went wrong, who went wrong, and they start blaming each other. So gently bring back to them to the present stage, and also start discussing about the future things. But while discussing, please keep in mind that you are not avoiding the important issues which had happened in the past. So that balance has to be done. Avoid questions aimed at identifying the source of infection. This is also a very common question. Many a times partners are interested to know the source of infection. But counselors can say discussion on the source of infection is not helpful. The past cannot be undone. Of course, the reality, of course, the past cannot be undone, and counselors can give various examples. For example, if there is a fire, so when there is a fire, you need to get rescue from the fire. You cannot indulge on the reasons of the fire. So some similes like this can be discussed with the couples, and their attention should be brought to the immediate and future concerns. The another important couple counseling technique is express confidence in couples' ability to deal with the issues. Project a sense of optimism. Highlight their strengths. So far they have addressed or they have handled many challenging situations of their life. Now also they will be able to do so. Counselor need to give this confidence to couples. Reframe questions that are blaming or hostile. Blaming and angry reactions are always coming in couple counseling. So diffuse the situation by identifying the underlying softer feelings. For example, if a partner is angry or showing a lot of anger or hostile behavior, many a times there are softer feelings underlying this behavior. It can be fear, it can be anxiety, it can be sadness. So counselor should be able to tap those feelings and deal with those feelings. Counselor should speak about those feelings. Work with intense emotions. Acknowledge the feelings. Many a times patients do not or clients do not speak the feelings in a verbal manner, but the feelings are expressed in a non-verbal manner. The counselors are suggested to acknowledge even the feelings which are expressed non-verbally and give them reassurance that this is a temporary phase and this also will pass. So this reassurance and acknowledgement of feelings is a key point in couple counseling issues. Now, exploring the sex life of couples who are discordant, this is a key area because as we know, the route of transmission is sexual transmission, and also this is an indication of intimacy between the couple or between the partners. So counselor need to explore the sex life of couples. So while doing so, a counselor can ask various questions. Here are some examples of given such questions, but you can think of many other such questions. How often do you have sex? How often do you have sex without the use of condom? When you say sex, can you tell me what you and your partner exactly do? Do you and your partner take alcohol? So such questions can be asked very gently. Disclosure to the HIV positive client's partner. This is a very sensitive issue and should be handled very carefully. It is legally required that the serostatus of an HIV positive client be disclosed to an identified partner. like spouse, fiance, or any other regular partner. Disclosure is mandatory in all situations and more important when the partner's serostatus is negative or unknown. The counselor needs to explain the client why disclosure has been done. If the client agrees for the disclosure, the counselor needs to be supportive and should ask the client how they feel about it. If the client is anxious about abuse, violence, or eviction, that is being thrown out from the house, the counselor need to support and empower the client about different ways of dealing with the situation and then facilitate the disclosure. A counselor may disclose the client's HIV status without his or her consent only under the following conditions. Means actually this should not be done as far as possible, but if it is inevitable, it should be done under the following conditions only. The counselor has made a reasonable effort to counsel and encourage the patient to voluntarily provide information to the spouse or sexual partner. The physician or counselor reasonably believes that the patient will not provide the information to the spouse, or disclosure is necessary to protect the health of the spouse or sexual partner. Even when the client is not willing to disclose the status, the counselor need to remain supportive to the client and disclose the client's HIV positive status to the partner in collaboration with the client as far as possible. So a simple technique, means simple I'm saying, but it is not that simple, I'm aware of it. The technique is you call both the partners together in your counseling room and then disclose the status. Reducing risk. We all are aware of this risk reduction strategies, the treatment of STI, ART adherence, and alternative non-penetrative sexual practices or safer sex practices. Now, termination of a relationship. This is also a strategy, or this is also a thing which, because of which the risk is reduced. But this is the last option, and counselor should never suggest this option. This can be client's own decision. Now, fertility planning. Young couples always have this dilemma whether to have a baby or not to have the baby. Counselor should guide them properly with all the pros and cons as well as measures to be taken. Counselor also should do the fertility counseling or fertility techniques which are available nowadays, by which the couples can have a safer pregnancy. Counselor should insist on maintaining the mother's health to prevent transmission from mother to child and also prevent transmission from one partner to another partner. Fertility counseling as harm reduction includes: counselor should inform couples what is the risk to the unborn child, to the mother and to the partner, discuss all the pros and cons, also discuss the risk reduction options, also inform them that until the infected partner is on ART with undetectable viral load. If the viral load is less, then the chances of transmission from one partner to another partner are quite less. And so, while having conception, they can wait for this option. Genital examination and treatment also is an important area. Also, also inform them that they should share their plan of having baby with the healthcare providers, so that they will be able to guide them properly for the safe pregnancy and also the safe delivery. Now the key point or very important point, counselor should do couple counseling to following categories as well: unmarried couples and also same-sex couples. For example, MSM couples or unmarried couples also should be called for couple counseling. Now let us sum up the session. These are some of the points we discussed. The counselor has a duty to protect other persons from HIV infection. Counselor should remain supportive to the client even when the client is not willing to disclose the status. Disclosure to the partners need to be done only in collaboration with the client. Enable both partners to work jointly so that they may overcome basic issues, so that their relationship and overall well-being may improve. Safer sex between discordant partners is a program goal. The techniques of couple counseling offer you a way to reach this goal. Now, many a times we often hear this complaint or concern from counselors that the time is not adequate for such type of counseling, because this is a very ideal way of counseling, and in our center, in ART center or ICTC center, it is not just possible to do this type of counseling. But my suggestion is that even if you use a few techniques of these things, you will be able to counsel properly to the couple. So let us try all these things and see for the results. Thank you very much. Now maybe I'll go through the questions which you have asked, and maybe I'll type the answers for you. Hello. If you have any questions, please post the questions.
I'm requesting the participants to kindly post the questions in the chat box till we have time, and then we can discuss more questions later to these sessions. Once again, I'm requesting the ART counselors or the ART medical officers at the ART centers kindly post the questions in the chat box. Try to utilize this time and then we can clarify more doubts. Excuse me, ma'am, Ms. Shivaranjani, there is one question from FIART Mandi. Is there any provision for ARVs to uninfected partners? I think maybe you can address this question.
Hello. Shall I type this question or? Hello.
So you have to give the answers in the oral itself.
Okay. See, ARV is basically meant for the HIV positive partners. However, hello. The provision of antiretroviral therapy is available to the HIV positive partner. It is not available to the uninfected partner.
There are like few more questions from few ART centers, from Reliance ART centers, and then ART center Vadodara, and then St. John's ART centers. Yes, ma'am, there is some other questions from few ART centers. It's there in the chat area itself. from the Reliance ART Center, Azira Surat. They have asked what to do if positive partners refuses his or her status to be disclosed to negative partner.
Yeah, Reliance ARTC Center. What to do if positive partner refuses his or her status to be disclosed to the negative partner? Actually, as we have seen in the earlier slides, legally also it is mandatory to disclose the status, because we are supposed to protect the interest of another partner who is not HIV infected or who is negative. Means though the positive partner has the full right to keep his or her things confidential, but still he cannot violate the another person's right to have proper health or right to know the information from the partner's HIV status. And therefore legally also it is mandatory that this information should be given to the positive partner, to the negative partner, but this should be done very tactfully or very strategically. Like as we have discussed, the couple can be called at the center, and there the counselor can disclose the status. That can be done. Another question is, in old age it is very just a minute. In old age it is very easy to convince for remaining negative, but in adult it is difficult to convince them to remain discordant. Sorry, I didn't get this question. Can you please elaborate this? Yeah, regarding this, another question: what are the prophylaxis to be given to negative partner, and how long to have it to have babies? Actually, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of this question, but I'll answer this question later through email tomorrow. Yeah, I would like to answer all these questions about ART tomorrow, whether ART to a positive partner in case of serodiscordant couple, irrespective of CD4 count, has been implemented by NACO. In MSM, why not we suggest ART prophylaxis? Here patient has not disclosed the his status to his wife, but he says that he is regularly using condom. Do we have to call and counsel his wife? Is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. Sachin Pawar, Ratnagiri, Maharashtra. How it is possible in some cases? It has observed that not getting HIV transmit to one HIV positive partner to another negative partner. Uh, Yeah, how it is possible in some cases? It has observed that not getting HIV transmit to one HIV positive partner to another HIV negative partner in spite of not using condom while intercourse. Yeah, actually, as we all know, like HIV transmission will not be there in 100% of the cases. But if condom is not used, the chances of getting HIV infection to another partner is quite high, and therefore it might have happened in some cases. that people or the partners are engaging in sex, one partner is HIV positive and still another partner is not getting the HIV infection. ART Gangtok, your question is, we have one couple, wife is positive and husband is negative. Both they want baby. So what you want to suggest them? So as we have discussed in earlier slides, let us you call them for counseling. You discuss the various pros and cons of this situation. Also, what are the techniques available for having a healthy baby, and what are the breastfeeding and other options available. So all these things you will have to discuss. Obviously their decision might not happen in one session only, but you need to give them adequate time, and maybe after some time they can come back with their own decision, and then again you can support whatever decision they have taken. Post-sexual exposure prophylaxis for uninfected. Sorry, I didn't get this question. Can you please clarify? In discordant couple, it is easy to convince in old age people to remain discordant, but difficult in sexually active people. Yeah, actually, most of the time, like we are talking about the sexually active age group or sexually active people, how they can remain discordant. So, condom use and practicing safer sex. We are not asking anybody to abstain from sex. People or the couple can have sex, but we are counseling on having the safer sex practices. The ART Center Ichalkaranji question is, ma'am, can we suggest them for test tube baby? Definitely you can suggest, but you will have to guide them to the gynecologist for further consultation. Yes, there is technology for sperm wash. GTB question is there any technology for a sperm wash? The technology for sperm wash is there. You can suggest that technology or that technique as well, but definitely all these are very costly techniques, so you need to consider the economic background of the client as well. Is it advisable to use the post-exposure prophylaxis for discordant couple in case of condom use? Yes, it is advisable. How much safe of sperm wash technique? See, not a single technique is 100% safe, but definitely safety is more than the natural pregnancy. If the patient's ART Kundapura, if the patient's CD4 is high, is it safe for them to have child? As we discussed, there are and as you are also part of, or you might be having the PPTCT program, there are certain risks involved in having a pregnancy, and therefore obviously if a CD4 count is high, it cannot guarantee of the safer delivery or non-infection to the child, but definitely it's always better to have a better CD4 count.
If you have any more questions, it's much appreciated. So you can post it in the chat box, and simultaneously there is an e-poll on the screen. Kindly give your feedback on the e-poll. This will help us to improve our quality of the NDLS session. I'm requesting all the participants without fail, please give your inputs for the e-poll.
Questions which were not answered, I'll send the answer tomorrow by email.
Sure. Thanks.